My guest tonight is a multi-talented artist. As a musician, author, promoter, app builder, and idol supporter, he has his hands in a variety of endeavors from his home base of Japan. Please welcome to the Eclectic Arts virtual studio, Derek Vasconi. Derek.
Ta-da! I just pop up. Hi, how are you, Mark? How you doing?
I'm doing good, sir. How are you?
I'm wonderful. And before we even begin, I just want to thank all the guys in Alice. You guys rule. Thank you so much for allowing me to come on and do this with Mark. It's just very cool. This whole virtual tour thing is super sweet. So very awesome. Thank you guys.
Yeah, that's great, and I'm sure they're in Steve's kitchen, kind of hearing this right now as we do it. So, yeah, looking forward to doing all these things. And you and I kind of got to know each other about, gosh, that was about 3 years ago when you were here in the States
Yeah.
with Necroma. And
Yeah. Well done,
so
learning.
let's kind of talk about things that are front and center, though, present day with Idol Underworld. And so we have some people that are watching this right now that aren't familiar with the idol scene in Japan, don't really know exactly what that means. So what kind of general information can you put out to the viewers out there about the whole idol scene?
Well, I mean, Idol's been around for a long time in Japan. I mean, going all the way back to the 60s, and it's had a long and storied history. Maybe the closest thing that people would be familiar with in terms of Idol is what K-pop has been putting out, especially crossing overseas with Blackpink and everything. But even though Blackpink is considered an idol group, they're K-pop idols. So the reason I'm bringing them up is because I think there's a familiarity with the term idol, but not necessarily how it relates to the performers here in Japan that deem themselves as idols. So, idol has its own set of rules, its own set of ideas. It's a subcultural niche here in Japan. It's been above ground in that sense too, because some idol groups have become massively huge. A couple years ago, Idol was responsible for like X amount of Japan's entire economy. Um, there's about 150,000 Idol fans here in Tokyo and Japan, like this area. There's about 10,000 Idol groups in Japan, and counting. Although I think those numbers have dwindled since the Corona pandemic because the live situation has been complicated. But overall, idols basically, you can be a guy or a girl, you can get on stage, but the concept is that as an idol, you're considered kami or like God. And as a fan, you worship them, hence idol. You give them all your love, all your support. The idea is to watch this person go from nothing to something. The best idol stories in this community deal with that concept. There's a lot more to it, but the basic idea is if you like music and you want to watch really pretty people singing it and having a fun time doing it, check out Idol. That's a terrible explanation. I'm sorry. That's
No,
such a huge question.
yeah, no, it's probably something it will take like 3 or 4 hours to actually start digging into.
Basically,
But yeah,
yeah,
let me kind of
exactly.
I'll ask you some follow-ups though to kind of pick apart some of
Sure.
it. That So it could be like you said, boys, girls, male, female. Is the music style different too, depending on the idol group, or is it kind of the same type of music that you'll hear across the 10,000 bands?
Yeah, I mean, like for the inception of Idol all the way up to I'd say 2010, it was basically what we call like kira kira Idol, like super pretty, super cute, it very very flowery. A lot of Idol like can be sound very produced or not produced. It doesn't really matter here because that's not the point of why you go to an idol show. You go to support the girl or guy that's performing. But now every single genre is represented. There was a massive explosion, a massive musical awakening around 2010 and Idol. And now anybody can be an idol pretty much, and any genre is allowed. Like you're getting where I'm seeing a lot of these guys, right, that play guitar here and they're great at guitar and they want to express themselves through Idol. So they'll make all these really creative songs and then have these idols perform it. And I know a lot of these dudes are really cool, and so their music's super creative. So you have everything from death metal to rap to Kidda Kidda Idol to like emo, screamcore, like it's every genre imaginable with these girls. I say girls because I'm in the girl section. I don't deal with the guys. I very rarely am I ever around guy idol groups. That's not to say there aren't a lot. It's just not my wheelhouse. But with girls, they're up there and they do everything. Every genre is represented. So
Wow, that's amazing. I didn't know that. This is going to be really informational for me as well. And and you were telling me pre-show that, like, when you're done with this interview, you've got just a multitude of things going on. But a couple of things that you mentioned was like you're going to be working with someone, an idol that you're producing, to like go to lessons or vocal lessons or dance lessons or any of those type of things. So if you kind of take maybe one of the people that you're working with, what's entailed to get somebody from the start to when they're actually on stage?
yeah, I mean, again, like there's kind of been this thing here where anybody can be an idol basically, and that's sort of the idea, is that you can take somebody who's just normal and make them into idol. I don't know. There's a lot that's involved. I'm brand new to the process of production, but I mean, I'm basically one of only two foreigners in this whole industry. And the other foreigner, he had taken me under his wing and educated me and showed me everything and gave me all of the basis of understanding of how to produce. But now I'm actually doing it, and so it's basically you have to think about everything from their costumes to their music to scheduling their lives. And when I say live, I'm referring to concerts, not their life. It's just in the idol world, when you go to a show, it's called a live. Although technically scheduling their life would be true too. And then creating merchandise. I mean, it's a whole process. It's like it's basically, if you're a band person, you know what I'm talking about. You got to go through everything I just said and then some. As a band guy, as a guy who came from the band, like the band world, it's very much in my wheelhouse, very much what I know to do. The difficulty and challenge for me is basically the language. I speak Japanese, and I definitely speak enough to get by, but I'm not fluent. And sometimes I get, like, I'm around different performers and producers and venue owners, I can't quite grasp everything they're saying. And so I have to really rely on people around me to help me, which thankfully I have a lot of great people around me. But it's just it's sort of a thing that, like, I didn't expect to be here. This was completely by accident that I got into the idol world. And now that I'm here, it's like, oh, I gotta learn Japanese because nobody speaks English but me. So
Well, so it's that piques my curiosity. Then you said it was kind of like an
sure.
accident. You ended up into to the idol world over there. How did you end up over there then?
Right. So I'm not one of those weeaboos or anything. I didn't grow up thinking, oh, Japan is the greatest country on earth, I must go here. I did have a neighbor when I was very young who was Japanese. She had two sons, and I would play with them. And she took me in as her third son, with kind of like, she'd make me this great Japanese curry. You know what I'm talking about, Mark. Like, the Japanese curry is the best. And I never forgot that. She's also very pretty, and I was like, wow, like, I want to go to Japan someday. But then it was out of my mind. Then, like, 20 years later or whatever, I wanted to write a horror book about some girl in Hiroshima who wants to kill everybody. And I don't know how these ideas come to me. I think ideas just kind of float to you if you're creative and you kind of grab them and you work with them. There's a very famous pianist named Tori Amos who said that, like, the songs for music just came to her, and she would just pull them out of the air and come to her. I kind of feel the same. So anyway, so I had this idea, but I was like, I got to go to Japan because I have a motto when it comes to writing, that you should write what you know, but live what you don't know. And I didn't know anything about Japan, so I went, and that was pretty life changing, because I loved Japan right away. I was like, oh, this place is cool. There's a lot of cool stuff here. Then I went to Tokyo, and I started to do a lot of interviews for like 10 years. I started coming to Japan on and off, like, every year, to do various interviews with different types of underground, interesting people, all to get information for the different books I'm writing. And one time I was here, I was like, I want to go see a music group. Like, I'm a musician. And I saw on this blog somewhere on YouTube, somebody had a YouTube clip on their blog of these, like, punk rock, like, cute punk rock girls from Japan, and they were going hard on the stage. They were going nuts. Their fans were going crazy. The one girl had a baseball bat with barbed wire around it. She, like, swung the bat, knocked some dude's teeth out. I'm like, oh, I'm there. I gotta go because I came from the metal hardcore world, and
Right.
so I figured out who that group was. They were called Guso Drop. Now they're called Bakuretsu Joshi or Burst Girl. And I went to Guso Drop and I went right into the front of the stage. Again, I had no idea about Idol. And they come on the stage. This really cute girl like starts smiling at me. She's known for her smile, and I'm like, wow. And next thing I know, the music starts and I'm flattened against the wall. I'm a pancake because the fans went nuts. But I'm game. I'm game for that. So it was just the next 40 minutes was like absolute insanity. I've never seen anything like it. And then afterwards, the girls came off the stage and they all lined up to do what's called checky. Now, checky is when you take an Instax Polaroid camera, you snap a picture with the girl, and you're in the photo with the girl. It's called a two shot, and then she signs the checky while you talk to her, and you pay for that. That's how these girls make their money, and it's like 1,000 yen, which in American dollars is about $10, and it varies depending on idol groups and whatnot. So I was like, oh, I want to go see that cute girl. So I got in her line. I had no idea what to do. I don't speak any Japanese at this point. And I go up to her and I go to give her a hug, just like, I'm like, oh my God, you're amazing. And I almost got gang tackled by all these dudes. And they're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you can't touch her. Like, what are you talking about? Next thing I know, I get indoctrinated into the world of Idol. Then I became a fan. That was 5 years ago. And then 3 years ago, I decided to become a staff member because I realized I could do a lot more in that regard. And then here I am down the rabbit hole and never coming out. Sorry, but that's how I got into it. I just happened to see that blog link on YouTube from on that blog, that video, and changed my life. Completely changed everything I'm doing. Completely, which is cool, right?
Yeah, no, that's an amazing story. Thanks for sharing that. I'm actually picturing you after the show in line, and yeah, just not knowing what the protocol is, and then everyone around you let you know you don't do that.
Yeah, there's rules with idols. Again, like I mean, like, and also a lot of these girls, they're in their 20s. They're very pretty, so they do garner a lot of attention from guys, and some of these guys can't handle that, or they're mentally, messed up. And but it's very rare in idol. It's extremely rare to have any incidents or anything. Like it just doesn't happen. Unfortunately, a lot of Western journalists, when they come into the idol world, they step their little, pinky toe in the idol community. That's what they go to, and it sucks because it's just not true. It's like, it'd be like if I was a real estate agent, I took you to a house that you're interested in buying. I open up the closet in like the second basement level of the house. I'm like, now see the dirt there? Stare at it for 45 minutes. It's like, that's a very tiny part of the overall picture.
Got it. Got it. Wow. So one thing I've only seen through actually some other people that I know over here stateside that are way into the idol scene. So like when a group happens to play at a convention or play something here in the States, they go fly down to it if it's in LA or in any other city. Is there a push to have some of the idol groups come to not only America but over to Europe and other parts of the world, or is it kind of like they're happy just being where they're at?
I mean, as somebody who's put on a lot of those tours of idols, like, I took idols to Los Angeles. I went on a national American tour with an idol group all over America. I've been all over Europe, at almost every country you can think of in Europe I've been to with idols. I've booked and promoted and done all of that. There's more of a push on the foreign side, of course, but we used to, before COVID, I mean, foreign idol fans came here quite regularly, which was nice. More so in frequent years. I think a lot of that had to do with a lot of stuff I was doing with groups and promoting. I'll gladly take the credit for that because I worked my butt off to do that. On the Japan side, every idol says they want to go to America. Every idol says they want to go overseas. The reality is, then when you give them the offer, then some of them will backtrack because it's too scary, or it's just the technicality of coming is very complicated. It's also extremely expensive. I had to take one idol group. There's 4 members, and I thought it was just going to be them and their manager. They were going to perform at East Meets West Music Fest in Los Angeles, the idols meets metal groups that show I created. And they ended up asking me to take 3 more staff. So altogether, it was 8 people I had to pay for. And that's crazy, but that's idol. Like, if I would have said no, two of your staff members can't come, and they would have just been like, oh, okay, we won't go then. Like it's like it can be very difficult to negotiate. Some idol groups want to know every detail, and if one detail's off, it messes them up. Some groups don't care. They're like, here, Derek, just yeah, we'll go. Just tell us when, where, we'll show up. It varies. Over the past couple years, I've built a lot of trust with a lot of these groups because I worked about 45 different groups now, and so a lot of them really like they see me as their foreign fan connection, and so I help them disseminate information from foreign communities to them and vice versa. And so like one of the things I want to do later, like once COVID is done wrecking the world, is I want to create a huge festival like in Europe or America. Europe's probably be easier because of the immigration processes and stuff. But I want to take all these. I want to take like 45 overall total amounts of people, including Idol and staff, to like Germany or something. And I can't tell you how hard that is. The process, it's unreal. It really is.
Yeah, I think you and I actually talked offline at one point a little bit about some of those details of what it goes into doing this, and it was eye-opening to me. I mean, I just things I just don't think about, and all the sacrifice and the risk that happens. That you're hoping you get your return back on the investment, and but you don't know. But I do know again that at least the underground fan base around here in the United States, they are rabid
Yeah. Well,
about idols.
very, very much. I mean, I do everything because of passion in my heart. I'm not money motivated. If I was, I'd be in a different world, I think, than I'm in now. But there's a lot of creative types here. That's why I'm here. I like creativity. I like artists. I like being around beautiful people that inspire me and beautiful inside and outside. And I'm here. I'm doing exactly what I want to do. It's if I was worried about my return, I'm in the wrong profession, but I've made it work. My website, Idol Underworld, I sell idol goods to foreign fans that wouldn't otherwise have a chance to get idol goods because A, they can't come to Japan, or B, a lot of these Japanese groups don't care, or I don't say don't care, that's the wrong way to put it. It's like they don't have the ability to sell their products to foreign fans because they don't, like, for example, nobody here in Japan uses PayPal. So that right there cuts off just about every foreign fan. But my site accepts PayPal. So everybody comes to me. So even something as technical as that can put a stop to an entire industry's ability to sell their products to another group. And then also it's the language barrier. A lot of them don't know how to write even in English what they're selling. And I help translate and do all that. And so it's kind of been in that sense a little bit more on the passion end why we do what we do here. And if you're somebody who likes passionate and creative people and you like sub niche subculture, Idol's it is the best thing here in Tokyo when it comes to subculture because it's thriving. Even in Corona, we've managed to survive. We've managed to make it work. Sucks, but it's worked.
Yeah, no. When you're talking about that you like being around creative people and passionate people, that's Alice. That's the members of Alice. They don't stop. We were just talking about this yesterday. They continually they innovate. They push themselves. They're doers. They're good people. And that's why at least their fan base. I've met so many new fans by doing this, and they're just like the band. And it shouldn't surprise me because I think I'm somewhat like the band too, because that's why we connected.
Very cool.
And now we're connecting with you over in Japan about the whole idol scene. And you're right. I know that when I've looked at a few of the artists that are based in Japan, you can't trust any kind of like a translation, like using Google or something to translate the site. It's none of it's ever right, and it's just a mess. And then I'm curious. I'm not curious, but I'm cautious about trying to pay online for something that I'm not quite sure if I'm doing this right. But if I go to your site, it's in English. It makes sense. Like you said, the PayPal buttons are there, and it just makes it just like I'm shopping for something here in Seattle.
Yeah, that was the point. And then eventually, I want to, of course, improve Idol Underworld, make it much more even easier than it is, and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, it works. The thing is, I'm like a one-man army here. Like I do so many different things. That's been the main challenge, is like keeping it everything flowing in the right direction when one little thing can derail stuff here. But when you're a one-man army, you're doing everything yourself, and you're trying to be creative on top of that, that can be difficult. So the guys in Alice are like me, all props and respect. I'm very curious to know more. So definitely be checking that out after this, I think. So
Cool. Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah. There's definitely similarities for sure between Alice and
Hey.
what you're doing with Idol Underworld. I'm just curious too. Do you have a Patreon that you've been
Oh yeah.
one of
Yeah.
many things? Can you talk about what's going on lately with your Patreon?
I mean that pays my rent, so it's very awesome to have, and I'm grateful to all the people that support what I do. Basically, that started out because I was doing the writing thing, but now it's kind of pivoted more to the idol thing, and I basically just give a lot of I do a lot of audio like podcasts, and then I'll send the links out, and people can hear what I just talk about my days because believe it or not, the idol world is very private, and so I'm inside the idol world, and I hear and see and do a lot of things that the outside world doesn't have access to. It's one of the reasons why I made my documentary about idols and stuff. And so the Patreon allows me to do these kind of things by supporting me financially enough that I don't got to go work at Family Mart, for 4 hours every week or 8 hours a week to get money. Like I can spend that time being creative. And I give rewards, things like that, of course. I mean, yeah, check it out if you guys have a chance. It'd be pretty awesome if you did. I'd love to have new supporters. I'm always putting out interesting, I promise, it's interesting, like stuff. Like I'll sound like I'm speaking in code because there's so much idol stuff that I go through, but you'll catch on. If you like subculture and sub niche, you like pretty people singing pretty awesome music. I mean, this is the place to be, man. It's just really cool. It's really cool when you walk into a venue, especially if you're a foreigner. In some cases, that can be really cool. Like you're the only foreigner in there, and everybody's kind of looking at you first, but then they realize you're a fan of the idols, and then the fans will come over and talk to you. I've had fans buy me beers, buy me CDs of groups, give me CDs, and they're like, please support my idol because I love her. And I'm like, yeah, cool. Like I'm down. I'm a staff person. I work with her, but sure, you can give me your stuff. It's very, very kind that you didn't know that. Of course, now pretty much a lot of people know who I am now, but I'm just saying, like, yeah, it can be, it's very rewarding, is what I'm getting at, I think. So.
Awesome. That's awesome to hear. And I know too that depending on which idol you're supporting, at least from what my limited knowledge, I just remember seeing like when the one group was here in Seattle that there's certain movements are supposed to happen during certain songs in terms
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, from the audience. That's all. In an American audience might just kind of be like yelling and clapping or whatever, but depending on what song was going on, then the audience was supposed to be doing certain gestures and things. It was really interesting to watch.
Yeah, there's a whole ritualized back and forth between the performers, the idols, and their fans. I mean, we call it Furia copy. Furia copy is when you copy what the girls are doing on the stage yourself, and it's very much a part of what you'll see at every Idol Live. It's very much accepted. It's a sign of love for the group. Again, it's no different than when the first person decided to start moshing at a metal show however many years ago. It's just it belongs to a certain niche, and it's very much loved and respected when we see you do that, especially if you're good. Some of these guys, they could be on the stage, they're that good. And girls, because there's a lot of girls that come to idol shows too. And you're just like, whoa, like you're actually, get on stage, like you're amazing. Of course that'd be a no-no, but there's that. And then also we do stuff called mixing, where you'll say certain Japanese phrases in response to what the girls are singing. And again, that's all part of the ritualized back and forth that goes on at the show. So that's what makes it a lot of fun. If you're into that, you'll have the best time, especially if you're good. If you're good, you can end up being in the middle of a circle of guys and girl fans, and you're the one leading the mixing and the chanting and the fear copy, and like people have just the best time doing that. And you feel amazing. Like you can go into an idol show. You're a guy who works at a department store for 8 hours. You go to the idol show after your shift is over. You're not that guy anymore. You're an idol fan, and all the world disappears for that time while you're at the show, and you can become your own god at the show, depending on how devoted you are, how much you're the community of fans. It's like seeing a bunch of friends all the time. It's pretty cool.
Yes, yeah, it sounds very cool. And we've got about 3 to 4 minutes left over here, and I definitely want to talk about your pending documentary that you have coming out. What can you kind of talk about at this point with it?
Yeah, so the documentary is called Jonetsu no Hana, which in English translates to The Flowers of Passion. It's stories from the Tokyo underground idol scene. Basically, I shot this in last August until about January of this year. Been editing it since March and still editing, but it's like 98% done at this point. It's going to be about 6 episodes. It's a mini documentary series. Basically, I answer the question, why do these girls become idols? I also give you kind of an overview of the idol world, and most of all, I show you the inside from a staff point of view. I've been staff, like I said, for about 3 years, and so I just show you my world, and I had unlimited access. Very private moments with these girls. I was able to show a lot of interviews, a lot of behind the scenes, a lot of live, a lot of concerts, and yeah, it's just what you would see if you come here. It'll be coming out hopefully soon. I'm looking at all streaming platforms, basically Amazon Prime mostly. I'll be selling it at Idol Underworld, and I'm looking at some production companies help me distribute. So that's all in the works right now. Looking to come out maybe the end of this month, maybe, or November for sure.
That's awesome. And I'm just curious for myself as a fan that when you had, like you said, you had unlimited access. That's got to be rare. I mean, that's got to be super rare, I would think. In terms of, did you run into any groups where they're like, well, we don't want you filming this part, or were they just saying, no, go ahead and do it?
Yeah, I mean it's beyond rare. I'm the first person to do it. Like there was another documentary that came out a while ago, but that person didn't really kind of have the access I do. And also with me, again, I work with these groups regularly, so they know me. So that's why that was okay. And also I gave them all final cut. So if they didn't like something, they can cut it. I'm cool with that. But yeah, I mean, I definitely had groups like, you can't film this, you can't film that. I didn't go to any of the idols' homes because that's a big no-no in Idol, and I don't want to know because I work with them. It would be very weird. But I was able to still capture who they are, what they do, and everything. And you get to see moments like in the Gakia, like a live house Gakia, the backstage. That's you never film there. I got to film there. And just checky time with fans and the idol. I had my camera right in people's faces while they're doing that. That's extremely rare. So yeah, I got a lot of access in that regard. It was very cool.
Yeah, I can't wait to see this. That sounds awesome. And I know of any Idol fan out there, or even anyone who's just becoming an Idol fan from listening to you talk, that I think that's going to make them just perk up really quick about, wow, you're going to get to finally see some access that no one's ever had before to this whole scene. Awesome.
Yeah.
So,
Good time.
Derek, yeah, Derek, we've got about a minute left. So, is there anything you'd like to say about what you kind of mentioned about the documentary, but anything else that's coming out that you want to plug, let the fans out there know about?
Well, again, thank you, Alice, so much for having me. Thank you, Mark, for having me. That's just amazing. Please check out Idol Underworld. It's idolunderworld.com, just how it sounds, IDOL underworld.com. If you want to check out some Idol goods, my documentary, be on the lookout for that. Like I said, it'll be hitting everywhere as much as I can get it out there very, very, very soon. And yeah, other than that, be on the lookout for the groups I'll be producing, the idols I'll be producing. All of that's coming out. And then if you're interested in Idol, you have any questions, just hit me up. I'm happy to talk to you about it. Happy to help you. I've helped a lot of foreigners get into this world and stay. So please ask. I'm really open about that stuff. I'll always make time for somebody. So yeah, and thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. It's pretty fun.
Thank you, Derek, for taking the time. And yeah, and I put your Facebook page into the, not your personal one, but the Idol Underworld page into the chat here so people can see how to get connected to you right away. And stay safe over there in Japan. And hopefully I'll have a chance to talk to you sooner than later.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right.
Much appreciated.
All right. Take care.
Take care. Bye bye.